Hello, my name is Tristan Williams, and this is my research on a CMU storm shelter. So when I started researching a storm shelter made out of CMU blocks, I first started with just doing research on storm shelters. And so one of the first things that I learned about storm shelters is that there is this thing that they call the golden rule. And the golden rule is that you must have a continuous load path. So everything must have a continuous load path directly from whatever it is, so the ceiling, the walls, anything, down into the slab, into your footing, to keep it all in place. So how I have that represented in this is, just to start, so I have a concrete slab on top, I have my CMU blocks, I have a concrete slab for my base, and then I have this footing here. How I have represented this is having rebar that goes through the top plate, and then it hooks down, it would hook down into, and this is all in this image here, it would hook down into the CMU blocks, and you have a piece that goes all the way through the CMU block that would also hook at the top here, so those two hooks could tie together. And then from the CMU block, this would tie into the lower slab. And then at the point where you have your footings, there would be another piece of rebar that goes all the way up, and it goes up a couple feet to tie into the rebar that you'd have at your corner, or wherever you have a footing in your slab. So that's how I have my continuous load path in this. Some of the requirements for a storm shelter, strength is kind of just like a given. What that kind of means though is resistant to debris impact. So there's this thing called the missile test, where they take I believe it's a 10-foot 2x4 typically, and they launch it out of a cannon anywhere from 150 to 200 miles per hour at whatever structure it is that you're trying to get to pass the missile test. And if your structure survives up to the level that the FEMA board has decided, then you are a FEMA approved storm shelter. A couple other things that you need to keep in mind, and this is another part where the continuous load path is very important, is resist wind uplift. And so the continuous load path, the rebar tying all the way down to the ground, does help with that majorly. But another thing that can help with that is the reason why I have a concrete slab on top is because concrete is heavy, and so it is very resistant to uplift. A benefit of CMU blocks is that not only is it just wind resistant, but they're also fire resistant. And so CMU blocks have a fire rating of 2-hour fire separation. Yes, and so that's very helpful. One thing that CMU blocks do struggle with a little bit though is they have a very low R value. I believe it's around 0.2 to 0.3 R value. And so to help with that, with insulation on the inside, I've added this, which represents a 2-inch rigid foam board, foam insulation. And so that gives a higher R value. And then I also have a gyp board here on the inside, which does give a little bit of R value, but it also just makes it look nicer. And on the top, there would be, this represents another piece of chipboard, and then there would be foam insulation on the top as well to add to the R value. As far as flexibility, as far as structure, or sorry, not structure, but as far as usability, CMU blocks are very versatile. As long as you have like an 8-inch modular, you can build almost any structure, and so it's really easy to have a structure of any size, whether that's height, width, depth, all of the above. It's really versatile with that. CMU blocks also have a lot of sound barrier, sound control, and so it helps keep out sound. So again, if you're inside a storm shelter and there's wind blowing around, there's a tornado blowing around you, you don't want to hear stuff rattling and shaking, because that's going to cause a little bit more fear in the people who are inside. And so CMU blocks have a lot of soundproofing, which is very beneficial for the people inside. Something I do want to add too is that for our project in Osceola, if I were to do a CMU block storm shelter, there is a concrete block plant in South Des Moines, which Osceola being on the south side of Des Moines means that it's very close, and so that'll also be very easy access for the project that we have at hand. Yeah, I believe that's all that I have. This is, again, my research on a CMU storm shelter. Thank you.